Well, over the past year or two, we've been talking a little bit about Alzheimer's. The folks from Sycamore Village have been helping us out. And Natalie McFarland from Sycamore is here. Natalie, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
You're a registered nurse,
Yeah.
but you deal with Alzheimer's patients, is
Yeah.
that correct?
I'm a director at a assisted living home, and we specialize in Alzheimer's and dementia care.
You specialize in that, okay. The interesting thing is, over time, as I said, we've been talking about it, but we've never really, and that's why you brought these folks, never really talked to people who have been involved in the process. So let me introduce Dan and Debbie Wilbur. Nice to have you folks here.
Glad to be here.
And you have parents, Dan, I believe it's yours,
Yes.
who are at Sycamore Village.
Right. My mom and dad both were diagnosed with Alzheimer's, what is it, 2005, I think it was? Or
Some years ago already.
Right. My mom was actually diagnosed in 2000. We just didn't know it because I hid it for years.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I understand that process. So I'm trying to think, because I went through it without knowing it was Alzheimer's, so I'm trying to think, how did you discover that, and what did it do to you when you found out that they've got it?
My parents kept going in the hospital more and more, and we remember my brothers and me were taking turns going down there to help them out, and then
I mean, a hospital for...
they were overdosing, underdosing their medications.
Really?
My dad had heart problems,
Yeah.
and so we went down there and finally talked to the doctors, and they told us, you know, you guys need to do something now because they're going to kill themselves if you
Oh my
don't
gosh.
get involved.
Natalie, is that an unusual circumstance that...
No, not at all. We have a lot of family members that come in with the same problems going on.
Yeah.
You know, family members work and they may not get out to their parents' home, but once or twice a week, sometimes less, and they think they're doing okay with taking medications, and then come to find out.
The hard way.
Yes.
They find out the hard way.
Yeah.
Debbie, you've been involved with this. These are your in-laws.
Yes.
Were you close with them before this all happened?
Absolutely.
You were.
I've been very blessed with the most wonderful in-laws that you could ask for.
So did you notice any things? I mean, Dan's talking about the hospital visits. Were there other things that were...
There were a few times, like they lived in Florida, and
They lived in Florida?
They lived in
gosh,
Florida.
okay.
Right.
That makes it harder.
It
Yeah.
is. But we had a family reunion in Colorado, and we went up there, and my mother-in-law, she just didn't look right, and she was doing strange things.
Yeah.
You know, and like she couldn't find the restroom, and she was taking this potassium, liquid potassium, where she put it in her eyes thinking they were eye drops, and
Oh,
just,
my.
you know, just signs like that.
Things that obviously are not
Right,
right.
right.
Dan, this must have been painful for you.
It was an experience. You know, the whole thing was just so weird because Debbie was the first one to notice it, and she told us at the airport
really?
when we were flying back from
Yeah.
the visit that there's
The
something
one in
wrong.
Colorado?
Yeah, she goes, there's something seriously wrong here. And that's when all the things started adding up, one after another, and then the sicknesses.
Don't you feel kind of lost? Where do you go? What do you do?
At first we did. We sought the Alzheimer's counselors in the area who talked to us and told us what to expect. And you know, at first it took us a while to find out what was going on because, like I said, Mom had it and Dad was hiding it and she was hiding it. So when we were going through their records,
They were hiding what the other partner was doing.
right?
Probably.
And so we went through the records. We came across the diagnosis of her Alzheimer's back in 2000.
You had to be detective.
Yeah, basically we did. And that's when we realized, okay, there's a serious problem. And of course, Dad would call Debbie crying because he just couldn't take care of her anymore. It was getting to be too hard for him.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder. The hard thing, as I think about it, is when you make that decision. First of all, how did you make the decision? Was it just this body of evidence that led you there?
It was the third time we'd gone down. My brothers and sister had gone down before us. It was the third time, and it had just reached a point where we knew they couldn't take care of themselves anymore, and the doctors were telling us we need to either take them home with us or put them in a home.
Yeah.
So we decided at that time we were bringing them home with us and we were going to take care of them. And we did. We took care of them for 2 years.
That's a job, Debbie, isn't it?
It was, but you know, it was like we knew that Dad could help us with Mom, you know, but at the time we didn't realize he had Alzheimer's. And so when we came down here and seek counseling, they told us, you know, he has it too. So, yeah, he wasn't able to help like we thought.
Natalie, is it common for Alzheimer patients, people who have the problem, to kind of hide it from their loved ones?
Yeah, especially in the beginning stages. They themselves get confused as to what's going on as well. They
Sure.
know something's not quite right, but they don't, they don't
Can't
realize.
put two and two together. It keeps
Right.
coming out 5 and
Right.
3 and
So unless you're seeing them often, they do a really good job with covering it up, and unfortunately.
when you go down, if they're in Florida or Colorado or wherever
Right.
the case might be, Dan, I
Right.
think that, as I look at it from an observer's point of view, one of the more difficult parts of this would be actually putting your folks into a place like Sycamore Village and then feeling, I guess I'll use the word, guilty. Did you have any of that?
Oh, terrible. Terrible
Really?
guilt. We put him in. Dad was very happy with it because he likes being served. So the meals, the attention was great for him, but my mom did not like it at all, and she was calling the
Because
others.
she's used to being in her own
Right.
surroundings. Yeah.
And she was a registered nurse as well.
Oh, really?
So she used to, and back in the about 48, 50s, her first nursing duty was an insane asylum. And it was really horrible. And so she was thinking insane asylum when she went into this home, and she would call my
She didn't
brothers.
want that stigma.
She'd call the brothers and sisters and tell them they were tying her up, taping her up, horrible things.
My mother used to say the same kinds of things. She'd say that another family member was trying to cheat her out of money or that kind of thing. Natalie, are those kinds of charges common?
Yeah, especially with family members, they'll accuse them, call the police on them, think
Oh,
they
my.
stole their wallets. All very common symptoms, again, and usually earlier stages to beginning moderate.
So your folks are there, and how do you feel about Sycamore Village and how they're being treated?
Well, when we first started looking, we found that Sycamore Village was like the only place in the area that really had like an assisted living for Alzheimer's.
Just for
a
Alzheimer's,
lockdown.
yeah.
You have to have a lockdown, you have to have medication. They can't do either one. And so they were the only ones, and they had a very homey atmosphere. They did it like a village type setup.
Yeah, I've
which
been
is,
there, and it looks that way.
Yeah, and it makes it very nice for them. And they
Kinda
love
eases-
it now.
Kind of eases the pain for you,
Right.
I would assume.
It helps. It
Okay,
did help
yeah.
a lot. But
And you
once
need
they
help,
liked it,
don't you?
once Mom got adjusted, it really helped a lot. We really went through heck when she was getting adjusted. It was really hard.
Yeah. She was getting adjusted. You were getting adjusted.
Adjusted,
Not an
and
easy
then-
thing. Who is it harder for, Natalie? The people or the family?
I tell families all the time, this experience is usually going to be harder on you than it is the actual
On your
resident
parents,
moving
yeah.
in. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting topic. It's good to know that there is a place like Sycamore Village. Dan, Debbie, thank you very much for coming. Natalie, I appreciate your help. We've been talking with folks who are struggling with and learning to live with Alzheimer's.